I'm going to talk about what I've been doing the past couple of days. But I just want to say this. I used to have a breakpoint here on any exception, and I was using that when I was testing out the settings. And I left it in when I was just doing some sound. And I got this, no factory required, when it's getting this audio. So there's something else I got to do now to track that down. But let's go back and we'll start the code up, and then I'll talk about how to do these things. We'll do it on a phone. All right. So once again, this settings is I'm trying to use the storyboard as much as possible. So let's pull the storyboard up and pull that back. All right, so these pages here are these guys here. Settings 1 through 4. They have segues, so I'm trying to do as much as possible using the storyboards. And it has this overall navigation controller. On these pages, here's like a look at this guy. So this button is automatically part of it. As long as I prepare the segue, I make sure the config is there before I go back. That's all I have to do. I don't have to say on this event being pressed, or it's the same for here. I don't have to get the next button and say on next go do this. Only thing I simplify myself by saying when this appears, I read the config. When I disappear, this view disappears and it gets called back, I write the config. When I hit the start button, I write the config. Right? It's all part of the prepare of the segue. That made it a little bit simpler. The next thing is you can, if I come over here, let's go to this guy and pull up this sidebar, and I'm in this, you got all these different views that come up here. You got the layout. Let's go down to something like here. You would have the layout, and here you would have the IDs for it. Yada yada yada. Well, the view controller will. You can also drill down to the label, and then if you did this, you would see just the label stuff. This stuff exists, but what's weird is you can drag from here. You drag from the UI element to your code, yada yada yada, and you can see them appear here, but when you actually run, they're not there. And basically, I went through this a couple of times, and all it was, I had to close out Xcode and bring it back. I don't know if my laptop's having a hardware failure, or if it's just a bug in the code or what, but I got a lot of problems I've been running into lately. I've had problems when I pull my launch board up. It'll say an error has occurred, and I'm like, I don't know what I did to these are basically XML files, so you can do open as source code, and it's I don't know enough about how to read these, but I do know that if they get blown out of the proportion, restarting them, it rewrites them. All right. So anyway, got the segues. Let's pull it back and show you the code. All right. So just to verify this works, let's go all the way back. Our sound is off. We'll just set different values here, so that we all know they're all different. Also, this is a light armor, this is a heavy armor, this is just a regular armor. In terms of the user data for all these armor units, they're all the same. I have went through and I varied the text and the little circle in there, and it's just not visible yet again. Alright, and we'll just set these in reverse. back. This is, we'll start it on. Alright, and let's start game from here. Please work. It should. It should. Alright, so I don't do anything. I don't have the auto placement yet. I've just got to print. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Red infantry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, so that's good. I'm going to stop here and let's run it on the iPad. And I'm going to even show you some, so that's the settings. I want to get those rosters working. And like I said, I would have errors up. I would have everything up there, but then the errors would persist. Alright. So I think it's off. So it's on. It's in game. Turn that off. I'm going to redo those as well. Because I didn't. Okay, yeah. See. So over here I didn't turn it off, and it came up by default on. You have to go here to turn it off. And so I've got to get that set up. That should be off. Yeah. All right. So you can see the map. It looks a little different. Let's review. Let's zoom in. See if I can get the zoom. All right. So this was, and you all see the map is completely different. All right. So what I was trying to do here, and I can see this one's off. I was trying to draw the water to make it look a little less flat by putting a white highlight on some sides and a black highlight on the other, just using the paintbrush in GIMP. A couple of things. That's a bitch to do, because you've got, you know, if I do it this way, it makes it very wide. The scale looks kind of weird. I think in reality, I need to have some grass shown, or maybe use some grass and dirt and then white, or maybe 2 different colors of blue. I did a black and white because I saw that somewhere. Like I said, sometimes I'll pull up Google Maps, or I'll look at other maps to see how they're doing it. Anyway, I'm just trying to keep that consistent on one side. Okay, so a couple of reasons why it's difficult. I'm only using these single tile groups, and because of that, all of these are individually drawn tiles. And when you paint the map, you've got to keep like you select water, you keep clicking it until you get the desired icon you want, and it's not very visible. We'll pull that up and take a look over here in the scene. So let's go here and go to this base map, and then we'll hit edit the tile map. So when I'm going to do it on, I'll do it here. So that's like by random, because it's auto mapping. It's pulling that in. We'll zoom out a little bit. And so when you're seeing, it's kind of like not highlighted very well, because it's a very thin line and you can't tell based upon the selection, and you just randomly go. You can turn this off and then come up here and you'll see all the different water tiles. And I can say, oh, okay, I need 2 blacks and 2 whites. This is like a vertical. This one is 1 black, but the problem is when I drew these, they're not as prominent. They're not uniform, Because like I said, I was doing a paintbrush and a smudge. And so these are kind of wider and they show. And now if you go back, it's just, and I separated between stream and water so that I could kind of get different versions of it. We'll put this back as grass. The next thing is it's a little cumbersome how I'm putting all those in. So I need to do this a little differently. If I go back to the tile map, I've got the water. There's 3 variants, and that's so like originally when I would put the water, it would make it look a little different because they're slightly different. But if you look at the stream, let's look here. I'm almost out. I ran out of variants when I had them combined, and this is not the first iteration of putting these things in. Likewise, I redrew the bridges, and they do not really have like all the full, like I should know, chances are this is going to be white here, but I don't really know, like is the water going to come this way and go that way or that way? Here it's a little bit, I kind of preserved them there because those are the first 2 I drew. And there, and I only need 2, right, going up and down. I also put these dividing line marks on it, but when I went to the road, I did not put that in because I had some, I had to get all those various road intersections. There's not a lot of, it's not completely symmetrical, and I'm already running out of variants. So what I will probably do in the next iteration of this is have road tiles, which are just like these, and intersection tiles, which are like these. And these are, because if you want to make horizontal lines, you have to go top and bottom, right? So if we go back to the app, you can see that this hex, the road's at the bottom, this hex is at the top, and you got to get those to line up, and you can see they're not completely lined up. Next thing I want to do, I also want to, and that's just a regular water tile, and there's no colors around it. So like I said, I think I'm going to, in GIMP, I'll have different variants, but I'll have like water that's more inset into the tile with a little bit of green, and that way I'll have to have a lot of different edges and stuff. But I'm going to talk about these tile variants on that regard. So down here, when I read that book, they used this style. So let's go up here. I think you click there and go new 6-way adjacency group. I don't know how to do this, but let me show you this. I only know because I basically imported their stuff, right? Or did I click? I think maybe they stepped you through starting it, and then you would put your tile, and then you would put these other things in there. I don't know enough about it though. And it's basically, it's like this thing is, let's see if there's any help on this. Yeah, no. I think what you do is you come over here and it's like something, I don't know, lower right. So this is, I guess this is going to be this one here. I'm probably going to have to learn how to do that, but I don't want to do it now because let's see if we can get Control Z. Yeah, get rid of that. I don't want to do it now because I want to get to where I'm going back to the game and doing some stuff there. I want to make this enjoyable to play, and I've got all kinds of ideas I want to implement. I want to get that direction. But I also want an elevation, so I tried to do this, and you can see like when I was doing it, there's some errors, and I can show you in GIMP how I did that. But basically, I was trying to show like a topographical map, and then the flats up on the top, just it's kind of using the terrain to show a 2, like a dice to say this is on second level. Going back and thinking I should have slope tiles, and then I should have elevation tiles. I can get more variance. I don't have enough to. There's no vertical tiles, which would have to be like roads to have vertical on one side and then vertical on the other based upon how you're laying out. Similar to what I did for the horizontal. So here's horizontal lines at the top, here's horizontal lines at the bottom. I hope these are highlighted. I wish my mouse, I don't know if my mouse is being seen, but let's pull this over and I'll kind of show you. So I'm drawing all these things with GIMP. This is the GNU image manipulation program. It's freeware. I've been using it since the .com era, and I still don't know how to use it. It's complicated. As an example, here's a layer. So there's our layer with our grass. Here's a layer with, you can probably see here, that's a layer with the lines. I can turn that on and off. And basically the way that I kind of get this working is, and you can see I screwed up, the additional layers are being added up, right? I basically drew some lines best I could looking at the arrow over here, and then when I got over here, making sure I kind of hit that level. Just kind of draw them around. And then I screwed up. I've got one more entry for where this would line up. So I think it's this one. Nope. So, I'm also kind of watching TV when I'm doing it. So now, when I draw this, I want it to connect to that same endpoint, right? And I don't want it to be the same, so I kind of wiggle it, and I'm using the paintbrush. Likewise, when I draw, and then those horizontal lines are just flipped to come down here, right? Part of my problem when I flip stuff is these things are not completely symmetrical. If on one line, I think it's 111 by 110 or something like that, the hexes I got off at one point in time. And I also lost my crops. Every time you do a rotate, the crops, which are these things, screw up. I know enough about how to, when I dupe a layer or a new layer, if I come down here, new layer, I won't get the crop or the mask. And I know enough how to apply, if I got a mask here, to apply it to the next layer in case that goes wrong. But there's like things that I don't know. Like if I do show layer mask, it'll show up here. And then if I take off show and edit, I mean, I don't know why it's not there, but sometimes up here the layer mask will be shown, so you kind of got a reminder. Anyway, so like roads, just trying to to get them in here. And basically, I'll have like, if I have, you can see here was when was rotated, it doesn't go all the way out to the mask because the mask gets screwed up, yada yada yada. So I'm doing that. Don't know exactly what I'm doing, but the bottom line is I'm going to work on getting the units placed, um, and we'll get that as the next point. And what I'm going to try to do is set rules. I'm going to try to say things like this. All of these guys, for like when the red is deployed, I'm going to set up a rule, something like this. All guys have to be in columns. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. All units have to be to the right of column 15, whatever, or greater than 15, that's the column. The rows, I will let the rows float. That'll be like a rule 1. Rule 2, and I'll assign them, well, I should say I'm going to assign points. So, like if you're an infantry unit, you're going to prefer forested areas or city areas. And then you're going to go based upon, you're going to pick a random number, and you're going to go through and you're going to flow through this rule set to say where I want to place them. And that'll be a pick. And then when you get to the next one, you'll do the same thing, but you have a subset of what available tiles are, because I'm not going to allow you to stack them. And that's what we'll do. And we'll go that route. And then I'll try to put in some terrain factors. I've been wanting to do that. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to put these roads in, so that you could move further. So like right now, I can't click on that guy, and this guy is just 1. He can only move 1, but let's say even with move of 1, if you have movement on the road, when I was here and the next time I clicked on this guy, I should be able to move here, because that's 2 road hexes, and he can move double rate on roads. So I want to get that stuff in, but first I want to get the placement so that I can auto place these guys. I can come up with rules and test and see how my combat is working. And that's that. So that's what I'm going to do today, is work on placement, but I know that I've got the rosters working.